Hello everybody and welcome back to Wampleville. And well, welcome back to Middle Earth because, well, we're going to be using some of our fluorescent paints here. And we're going to be painting, as you can see in our corner references over there, a little bit of Gandalf versus Balrog. Yes, that's what's on tap for tonight. Hey, Armored Wolf, yep, sorry about the delay. I'll tell you when we're done. It's just, well, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're gonna try to blend this so it's more of a vertical composition, but we've got to make it go horizontal because, as you can see, the vertical doesn't work real well. Not at all when everything is set for this way. Pretty much everything except Instagram. Instagram lets you do videos like this. Everything else wants videos this way. So we're gonna go landscape Balrog. Hey Landrast, how the heck are you doing? Now the palette over here is a wee bit dirty because we were just filming a video with some of the, speaking of Balrog, we were painting some more of the goblins. I just did a video on that because I wanted to do another little episode on these guys. So Landrast, I hope that you're doing well. My goodness. All right. So yeah, the palette's a little bit dirty. There was no really way to transfer these colors here, our fluorescents like this, right? Because they're not coming out of the tube. So we will just talk about this real quick. We actually have the fluorescent yellow up here in what's normally opaque alley, but guess what? You know, these things are kind of opaque, so maybe it deserves to be up there. Just think about that, will you? So we've got our usuals. They're kind of, again, masked by some of the other colors sitting around here. You got your indigo, your black spinel, your Van Dyke brown. There is our asphaltum over here. We got fanchon red over there. These, like I said, we've got our fluorescent orange, orange light, regular orange, and our yellow over there. Hey, Josh, nice to see you again. Nah, boy, Josh, how have things been going? Is you have all of your gear set up for all the kind of broadcast potential things you want to do? Because I think last time we talked, you had just gotten that stuff and you were trying to get it all up to speed, of course. So again, Gandalf versus the Balrog. So see this one on the left over? I like the shiny portions here. It does also kind of help blend it to more of this rather than up and down. The other thing too is I think we're gonna put the whip in this arm because his arm actually does extend out to here. And then the whip can be another element that goes like this. We always talk about elements that tie things together, right? I'm just gonna get out some of my recent landscapes of Middle Earth here. And here, even if you remember this one, we had to have things kind of tie together and then this had to lead you in. And this is very much the opposite, right? Think of all the intense colors are going to be in here. This was like this was the least intense colors because even these guys still had some of our oranges in there. So even, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the difference in all the intensity of these colors. Now, AD Creations, how you doing? Let's see. Oh, you got two cameras. It really helps with some of the live interviews. That's good. That's good, Josh. And if everybody again could please give Josh a follow there. Follow Wisdom. Design does all kinds of fun interviews. Have you had a chance to join any of the painting hangouts with Gil and the guys? Unfortunately, they do those on Fridays and Saturdays when I'm streaming, so I never get to join them. I don't even know how late they're going these days. I mean, I suppose I could try joining them at, I don't know, midnight or something like that, but usually they're kind of winding down. Oh, okay. All right, well, Calvadia, I'll have to change your name then to get your VIP, right? Because I think you had it under the old one, so you'll have to remind me to change that. All right, center of interest. Where does it gotta go? Where it stops, nobody knows, but it's got to be in one of these four areas. It can't be out here. This ain't tic-tac-toe, right? We're not doing that. We're playing here towards these area. So I see it's still going. I wasn't sure how late sometimes they go with that. I know Gilbert sometimes jumps off early. Can't remember the last time I had a chance to chat with him there. Well, certainly pretty much before all this entertainment began, that's for sure. So I'm going to head on over here to my reference because again, his arm has to go all the way out here, which means Balrog's face, we want that up here. And we want our Gandalf down over here. Look at this. We're trying to get our center of interest in these locations where we want it. Mishap damage, how you doing? So yes, mishap damage. If you're wondering where Rivendell went, it went west. It went to the west, right? Mishap damage. It went to the west to sail. It sailed west, like it's supposed to, I suppose. At least everybody that lives there is supposed to do. So thanks again, mishap damage. I really appreciate that. And I saw your latest Instagram post as well. So I'm glad that you're able to kind of continue on with more projects. I mean, that's always great, right? We want to see lots of projects from everybody. All right, hand over here, whip comes maybe something like this. That'll tie in those areas. It's Rivendell is now in its forever home. Yes, it is. Mishap damage. So yeah, mishap damage. I guess now we have to. You know what we have to do? We have to paint a 2D portrait of the Kara Kalila bust. That would be pretty wild, wouldn't it? Hey, Grim, nice to see you. So again, composition-wise, well, we want these two guys looking at each other. But look at this. Look at where they're located. They're actually kind of sort of located where we would like them to be in these opposing dots over here. So sword over here, a little more Gandalf over here, make him nice and tiny. We'll get the bridge going this way. Maybe a little more this way. I might raise him up just a smidge here. Just a little smidge. It's best to make these adjustments now, right? Than fool around for a long time and go, yeah, probably should have put that in another place. So Grim, nice to see you as always. Boy, Grim, there's a lot of activity on your Discord there. I'm super impressed. I mean, how old is it? What, 3 weeks old maybe? That Discord, and there is quite the activity on that. Kathy she's on a lot of Discords, and she's like, wow, there's a lot of people posting stuff on here. So that is a job well done, Grim, and also much appreciated. It is appreciated. So yeah, John, I would love to be able to join, but that's the night that we're streaming. I'm just hoping that maybe one of these nights after a stream they're still going and I can just sort of hang out with them. I know the other thing is it just really wreaks all kinds of havoc with my settings on everything. So that's another reason why I've kind of not been able to do it. I'm gonna move this down just a bit. We also have to make that, kind of large enough. We got this weird sort of a situation where we have a tiny Gandalf who's closer than the big giant Balrog. And I thought if we do this with the whip, then it also might, yeah, there's be a little bit of Muskarufka. There's some stuff I might not actually have to do. So that would be cool as well. Here, let's get some of our flamey things off of them there. It is quite the happening place there, Grim. I'm telling you, it's pretty darn impressive. Actually, so who was your latest interview with? I knew that was the question I've been trying to spit out for about 10 minutes or so. Okay, do we? Yeah, we'll go this way here. Got flame here. The beast of shadow and flame. He is definitely tricksy. I mean, the miniature is not terribly easy to paint. We'll see what it's like to paint him in 2D. Of course, I should have gotten my Balrog miniatures closer to this scene. It's gonna be a little bit interesting trying to find them. So Jim Bates was last week as we welcome in Steelhead. How you doing, Steelhead? And you have a good one there, Josh. You have a good one. So there is our Moria army. And of course, there is our Balrog. There he is. Shadow and Flame. We painted him up on the channel. You can go check him out. He's also on the YouTube channel as well. So we're almost, I mean, it's not like we're done with anything, but we're not going to take this aspect too far here. I think we'll move that up a little more. So it's going out this way here. So here, this way, we'll just clear out a little bit of that. And then, of course, we want to get our pictures snapped of this because people seem to want to have all the pictures along the way. I guess it's his little nose right there. So yeah, Grim, let's see. So usually those things kind of show up in the 4 to 5 p.m. hour. We'll see. I know it said, what, 7 or something like that on the website there. It'll be interesting to see when it actually does arrive. Now, this is just a lot of smoke right here. I mean, who would have thought? Shadow and flame and smoke, right? All right, so I'm going to just see if I can't snap a quick picture of this. I'm hoping that I actually got the memory card in this stupid thing. Oh, yeah, actually, Grim, check this out now. So as I take the picture here, 1 second. So this is the piece of junk that's at least 16 years old. This is what I take those pictures with. That's, I mean, it is, look at all the junk that's on here. I don't even know what this cord is anymore. Actually, I really need this because, well, or the DC in. I have no idea where any of that stuff is because the batteries just never last long enough, as we got trash in the house too. So trash, now if you have yourself, let's say some digestive issues, what would you call that, a Balrog? Because I'm seeing some advertising with that, maybe some advertising with the Balrog. Just some unpleasant stomach distress right there. Actually, I think I have this other leg down over here. Actually, Grim, yeah, you know what? The only time, like I was telling you, the only time I ever use that phone camera is just for group shots and bigger things like that the other camera just doesn't work for, because it is no good. It is no bueno on those other shots. Alrighty, well, I think it's time we start to have at it here. And we're going to go after this with some of our fluorescent yellow, our homemade fluorescent yellow. Look at that. That's just absolutely hilarious there. It's got some decent amount of thinner in there. Let's get down to more of just our orange here now. And we'll just kind of let some of these mix together here. Hey, Aussie, how you doing? Well, good night, Miss Half Damage. Good night. You have a nice night's rest there. Because now we've got ourselves some of our regulars in here. Look at that orange, huh? Look at how that builds up nice and quickly. A little bit more of our orange here. So again, the palette's a little bit of a mess right now because I was filming a video earlier. So yeah, a little bit of a messier palette than usual, but we'll survive. So yeah, this is our change from the references there. A little bit of a switcheroo. So trash is everything in full panic mode yet? Or is it just the usual panic mode, the low burn, or has it officially become panic mode yet? Throw maybe a smidge of thinner into that. I'll have a little bit of our orange there. All around his mouth, what the heck? We'll just throw some in there too. Let's see, I know it's dirt cheap to ship you stuff. Let me know if you need anything printed. So Grim, that's going to be appreciated because I was almost getting desperate enough to just say the heck with it and actually print some things with the printer with the dead pixels on it and just say, well, if I print 10 of the same thing, I'll at least get probably 6 or 7 decent prints out of it and just kind of use the files that I have. But yeah, there's plenty of things that would be really great to have. Hey, Rainbow Sculptor, how you doing? So it's the MSP Project Scramble time for Trash and the folks at Reaper. But Landress was kind enough to print me up a whole bunch of the. I wanted to say Medbury miniatures because I was just trying to point a person to Medbury miniatures, so it's kind of on the brain. But Landress was kind enough to paint up some of the Highlands miniatures so that I could. I think we'll actually do an army painting series, perhaps based on those guys. I think that should be very fun. All right, starting to change here. Little bit of a change. Start to work in some of our darker tones here. Aussie, there's been no chance to do that. Well, let's just say that it was 86 degrees inside parts of the house, so there was no way we were going to be messing around with a printer. Plus, then all the storm things that happened too. So we've just kind of put that on the ixnay. So Landrest, I think I freed about 5 of them from their little prisons, their little their little cell tower prisons, which is going to make sense to absolutely nobody out there. So, 2K2 Minis, thank you so much, 2K. I appreciate you joining. So, I mean, check this out. This was our landscape of last week. Look at this. Does it get any more? I mean, this is the least amount of intense color we've had in any of our landscapes. This is going to be the most intense right here. So Landrest, yeah, I think yeah, it was about 5 of them that I broke out, freed them from their little cell phone tower prisons, and it was really neat to see those at last. I'm gonna let that be a little more, yeah, we'll let that be a little bit more of the red right there. I'm gonna bring some of that red closer here, maybe also let it mix with some of the orange. Yeah, I think it needs to get closer to them here. Like about so. Oh, and I was really testing out the opacity of some of these fluorescent paints in that little quick video. I mean, it was nothing special. I had to get those last few gobos done, and it worked out pretty well. It's just what the heck. We'll just get our rest of our red over here. Let's see. Rainbow Sculptor, question about oil painting. Do you wait with color layers? So rainbow, everything is wet into wet. The key is not too much paint. Even here, there is minimal paint. Look at this. That's how much paint is on that brush. That's what we're working with here. And when we're working on our miniatures, whether it's this or whether it's this, less is more. More is way too much. It's again, it's practically a dry brush. Let me see. I just want to get caught up on things. And I just want to, again, welcome in 2K2. So how you doing? This is, I've been kind of looking forward to this one right here. Again, we're making a little bit of a modification in that we've got the whip right here. Because the Balrog just says where there's a whip, there's a way, obviously. So we'll darken this down a little bit more. So again, you can see it's practically a dry brush there. We also need some of that here on the bridge where our wee little Gandalf is going to be. How's about some asphalt? Maybe a bit of the Van Dyke Brown. We have to also change again. This was a vertical composition. We have to change it into a horizontal one. Yeah, it's got to be, let's see, is it 6 or 7 a.m. there? Because I always get mixed up with European Central Time. And of course, we're almost about to fall back here, so that's going to create even more confusion because I think in Europe, don't you guys do that at a different time or a different part of the calendar than we do? Now, actually, you guys don't fall back, do ya? I think we do, but you guys do not. All right, Van Dyke Brown straight up here. Little indigo. Cool it down. And I'm just going to go straight up to the bridge. We'll go all the way over to the bridge there. And this will just be kind of a bit of an area where the eye can rest a little here. Let's carry out that red a little bit further this way. Let me see. Aaron Bana, how you doing? Nice to see you there. Let me see. Oh, the time change going to mess you up. That puts the start of your stream while I'm still at work. Boy, Grim, I wish that everybody else was as smart. Kathy really hates it. If time always fell back, it's like if every, like, spring it went back an hour, summer it goes back, and it could actually go back an hour every single day, and I would be absolutely delirious about that. Sadly, they don't make it work in a good way, do they? They only make it work in the not so good way. Let's see. Okay, so Rainbow Sculptor. Well, actually, Rainbow Sculptor. If you have any, if you have anything sculpted that is maybe going to be at ReaperCon or something like that, if you want to show some links to that, that would be fantastic. Yeah, Aaron Bano, the forecasts here have been so abysmally wrong. I mean, it has been all week completely wrong. Sorry that you got nuked there. I don't like to. I don't know. There's just been too much of that going on for everybody. Not just here, but for absolutely everybody. You can see we're just, look at this. See that kind of scumbling brushstroke that we're doing? I'm going to take a quick image of that right here, if you don't mind. We're going to get some dark colors on our Balrog next. And then we'll hit our Gandalf. Let's see. So yeah, also too, Rainbow Sculptor, it's a matter of timing. Sometimes you have to put some paint there, and then you just got to leave it there. Sometimes you just have to slow yourself down. I know that the oils, we want to everything all at once, right? Lots of mixing and fun and everything. And then it all kind of comes crashing down because there's a little too much going on all at the same time. But there's that little bit of patience. We don't want to be hasty hobbitses. Sometimes it's best to just leave an area be, move on to somewhere else, maybe even move on to a whole nother miniature. That's why I forgot how much fun it was to work on multiple figures at the same time. I finally had a chance to do that today for the first time in a while. And I really love doing that because I can just sort of leave an area and say, yeah, I'll get back to that later. See, now see also edges here? Yeah, edges here. How about we do a quick one of these for people? Zoink. So even here, you can already see there's like a hard edge there. We're going to try and do as much as we can with edges there. And we're also going to need some edges down over here on Gandalf. So yes, happy little deadly clouds of ash and flame. Yes, happy little ash flame clouds. All right, let's do we need to? Yeah, I think we need to. No, I want to go more with the Fansion red there, I think. Fansion red on that. You twirl around this way. Oh, back to some of our orange again here. So again, I apologize if there was this wasn't a super pristine palette to begin with. But we were filming a video earlier today, and I just figured we would just keep using those same colors. All right, back to our orange here. Even though it looks dry, this is still wet. We can still do blending with that. A little bit of this, our light orange here again. These are the homemade fluorescent paints from the Green Stuff World powders. Seriously, at one point this paint was just powder. That's all it was. Oh boy, Aaron Banel, that worked. Well, was it also, did it take less time? I guess I forgot to mention that I always have a lot of water handy so that I can just kind of thin it down in some places, wipe it away in other places. So hopefully, well, I'm sure you probably you ended up doing that yourself too. I'm pretty sure. Let's see. So I'm glad that that worked out for you. Here, we're gonna try and smooth out a couple of these edges here. Might even start to think about a little bit of cadmium yellow in some places. Get a little bit of opacity going here. It will darken things down a little though. I mean, that's okay. We had some fire going on right here. Gonna take some of our orange here. Yeah, there we go. So trash, as far as ReaperCon goes for yourself, are you just pretty much ready to go for that, or is there still more last minute stuff that you have to do? I mean, I know you got the MSP thing you were talking about there, but wasn't sure any kind of personal Trashorama stuff. Just stuff only for Trashorama. Gonna get some of my asphaltum here, mix it with the red. We'll be going back into this because this looks dark right now. This is by no means the darkest dark. We can get way darker than this. No doubt about it. We also need, speaking of darks, we need some down here to start creating a little bit of a jawline for Mr. Balrog here. And all of a sudden, that fluorescent orange looks mighty dark by comparison, doesn't it? It's really not. Complete this. This is the first time. Yeah, this is interesting. I was wondering what this paint was going to do on this surface. I wasn't quite sure. So it dried faster and was smoothing with water on cotton swabs. Boy, Aaron Banel, I'm just glad that really worked out because that's something that I wish I knew about a long time ago. And of course, oh yeah, so Grim, what were we talking about earlier with the, I wanted to ask Landrest about that. So Landrest, as far as like all the bumps that are left over, the support bumps on a miniature, that idea of just taking the actual resin and just kind of brushing that on and then having one of those cure flashlights, do you think that would actually help for kind of subduing some of that stuff? I actually meant to shoot you a message about that, but it just was kind of a crazy day, and I was desperately trying to get videos filmed and other stuff, so did not get a chance to ask you about that. All right, so this, guess what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to take some, I just took some thinner right there, and I'm going to do this. All right, where's the makeup sponge? Come on, there you are. So I'm making a little bit of a change right there, and then the whip over here. So look what we're doing. It's almost like watercolors. Heh. Yeah, there we go. It's a bit like watercolors, so we're just minus that piece of tape. It's going to come over here and we're going to remove some of that. Just, because why not? All right, we're going to snag a little bit of this over here. And just get some of our orange back into this. It sounds potentially messy, which is my least favorite thing in the world. Yeah, Landris, well, I think you heard our conversation about the, I think it was Titan. No, it was Loot Studios. They had one of their really big miniatures, a Kraken or whatever, and it was gigantic. And they were filling in all kinds of gaps and everything with basically the resin, and they had a UV cure light. The only reason I'm asking is because I've been, of course, how many times have I been told things, but people said that it wouldn't cure the resin, that only the glow light would actually cure the resin, and I just wasn't sure if was that actually true or not. Let's see. So Z-Pet, for filling gaps, I'd rather use Vallejo plastic putty. Z-Pet, I use the Vallejo plastic putty. I really love that stuff. We also use, oh gosh, epoxy scope for the same reason, because in some ways you can make it like the plastic putty. But yeah, I do like the Vallejo plastic putty. One of the reasons why I use the Liquitex Heavy Gel is, well, it's a lot easier to get. Lots of Vallejo products just are kind of, I don't want to say they're out of stock, but they can be difficult to come by these days with all the distribution stuff. And instead of sanding this, you actually just kind of literally wash it down. You almost practically wash it away. Hey, Arta Michael, how you doing? Zobonic will work. It's a resin pen with a UV light. Yeah, so Grim, I know because I have the Green Stuff World light. I have that one. And I just wasn't quite sure. I mean, I can always give it a try. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? No big deal. All right, I'm going to take me another picture of this here, because people seem to like the pictures. It's the step-by-steps here. There we go. Z-Pet, nice to, well, thank you so much for joining us here. So Z-Pet is, I guess, Micromark. I think that's, well, I had a problem finding it on Micromark. I used to be able to find it in a bunch of places. Have you been able to keep a steady supply of that? Because I like it. It's fantastic. Like you say, I love the ability to be able to sand it. That's pretty sweet, right? Nothing better than being able to sand that. All right, we're just going to darken this down and then come back the other way here with some of our mid-tone there. All I want to do is just get little gaps filled in here. See, I bought a tube maybe 2 years ago, and it's still 80% full. There you go. It's the oils are forever, right? In more ways than one. So Z-Pet, I'm glad that started working out a little bit better for you too. That new try. Okay, there's some of his some of the lights on him. Let's see if we can figure out just where we want this to be. So I think about there. And his sword about there. Where the heck? He's like, oof, man, I remember that. That was rough, man. We like went on top of this mountain, and then he fell off, and then I was dead, and then I wasn't dead anymore. Oh my goodness. I'm just gonna take a quick look here. So Landris, I've seen Uncle Jesse do something with resin and talcum powder. I didn't actually watch the video, but saw the title card on YouTube. So what was that? That was a resin and talcum powder. Well, I guess. Well, actually, can you still get talcum powder? Well, oh, it's baby powder. I think you can't get anymore, right? Who would have thought baby powder is the thing that's going to kill you? It's the biggest threat to humanity. Guess it is. Oh, I see the. Oh my goodness. Now, of course, if the Balrog wasn't so darn huge, we would certainly have our Balrog join us here more often, wouldn't we? Wouldn't we just love it if we could have our Balrog here all the time, hanging out with us? Bernie the Balrog. He was definitely fun to paint, no doubt about it. Even though he was an ancient metal thing, which made things very difficult. And guess what? This is still not the darkest dark here. We can still go darker than this. Yeah, it is that whole interesting sort of shadow and flame, right? But what I don't want to do is go all the way to those darkest dark. It's sort of like the lightest lights. We want to hang on to those. We want to have the whole brow ridge on this thing. Having painted the miniature, there's the brow ridge on him is a little bit kind of weird, to say the least. Let's see. So it is just called Terra Rosa. Now I have the. It could be a little bit difficult to find here, so let me dig around, see if I can find my Terra Rosa here. Again, everything's kind of out of place because we were doing pictures and such. Let me see if we can find that. Nope, that's not it there. So I may not be able to find that, unfortunately. Might even be in a different spot. There it is, in a different spot. So there's Winsor Newton Terra Rosa, and it's just a Series 1, so it's going to be nice and cheap. So yeah, Grim, I don't have that flashlight with me. It's too far away for me to get. But I don't know if they have that info on there or not. I could just try and look tomorrow, and I could let you know if that, unless you already have the Green Stuff World pen, in which case, well, all the better. Let's see, where is his? So his chest is out here a little bit. His arm is out here. His other arm kind of extends down over here, kind of in between all this stuff. And then we've got to mesh all of this too with the rest of our darks over here. I don't know, I'm just going to get some of the thinner mixed with this, and we'll go this way with it. All right, so, well, oh, thanks, Grim. All right, we're going to go this way with it now. We need to start. Oh, yeah, Fanchon red here. Maybe a smidge of the fluorescent orange, because we're trying to make that edge as hard as we can without taking too much away from this side over here too. I think I can potentially darken that out a little bit maybe. And then we also need to, I think, give him a little bit more of a mane here. Something like that. Let's play a little bit of connect the dots there. We need to, I think we need to darken this down. Again, the shape of his mouth is pretty ill-defined on the miniature and in all of the pictures. Who'd have thought? I think that needs to curl back around this way a little more. We're also making a little bit of a change from there. I'm making this a little bit lighter here behind him. So Grimm's got a cheapo that is a 405. So let's see. I might actually come back in here with just a little bit of the red. Something like that. Okay, and now I think we need to start to blast in a little bit of our bluish light here. And this is very much a dry brush. This is not a dry brush. It's all just going to turn pink. We don't want pink. That's not what we're looking for. In fact, I might just have to really just plaster some of that here. Can always come back and subdue some of this. I think we need more of we need more of the red-ish light there. Okay, let's spread around a little bit more of Gandalf's light here. And look, we have all this gray that we can use. That's why we stuck it there. We knew we were going to have to lighten it up eventually, but... Okay, that starts to set a little bit more. He's just a tiny little ombre there, isn't he? Little tiny Gandalf with his little tiny stick. Now let's say a quick search says LED UV lights are centered around a specific wavelength. Hey, MTellies, how you doing? Nice to see you again. So MTellies, actually, if everybody could please give MTellies a follow, that would be spectacular. So MTellies, I hope everything's been going well for you. I do see your Instagram posts here and there and here. All right, time for some. You thought this was our brightest color. It's actually not. We're going to take some of our brilliant yellow pale. It's got a little bit of the fluorescent yellow in it. We need some in his mouth there too, I think. Right about there. And now we have to start thinking about some of the flame effect out here. On the whip. Back to some of the orange here. Let's see. Oh, just finished eating, but then, ooh, it's making me hungry. That is making me hungry. I did not, unfortunately, get a chance to get to the store earlier today, so that meant some of the rations were running a little bit low, to say the least. We're running a bit shy on some rations. Now we're going to maybe more of the orange here. because I'm just going to try and get some stone texture here now on this, because we've got the whip right next to it. It is pretty interesting how the Balrog works in the actual game, I have to say. And the whip is basically, you use that whip pretty much the way the Balrog used it in the movie. Just you basically grapple somebody and you bring them towards you. And the fun thing is that if you can set somebody on fire, they just stay on fire. They can't just stop, drop, and roll. They just stay on fire, which is kind of amusing. So I'm going to just get the impression of some smoke over here. We're also going to delete a couple of those edges as well. Hey, Tukale, how you doing? So yeah, it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate. I think that these two they were gonna originally have like a sing off or something. They were gonna have a dance off. That's what it was gonna be. They were gonna have a dance off, but they couldn't agree on the genre of music. So I think that's why they're kind of going with all the swords and everything. Originally, it was going to be a dance off, but they just could not agree on the musical genre. Yeah, Aussie, what starts on what goes on fire stays on fire. Kind of like that, right? That sounds pretty good. We can certainly go much darker than this. That's a little bit of our black spinel, some of the Fanchon red. Because, oh yeah, we can see how much darker that is. And I think I also just want to darken this. Well, at least parts of it. Not the whole thing, just some parts of it. Need a little more of that Fanchon red in there. Yeah. Let's see if we can get the end of his horn. Both of the horns. Like so. Let's see. Gandalf about to get a boat of XT. Well, the thing is though, he kind of what is it? Death's heads now. I think he kind of failed on his death head roll. I think don't you lose a certain amount of that for actually dying, even if Iluvatar comes along and brings you back with a white coat and a bigger stick. Don't you lose a little bit of that XP along the way when you die? Let's have this make a little bit of a turn there. Back up here to some of the our Fanchon red. Close that down a little bit. Yeah. Can raise that brow ridge a little. And this is his chest right there. Kind of starts over here, so I think we might just also darken this down a little bit. Here's our original brush here, so that we can do a little bit of dry brushing with that, a little bit of blending there. look at that scumble. Look at that fine scumbling brushstroke. Now that I don't know about, Steelhead. That I don't know about. I'm almost tempted to do a little bit of a Moria shape over here, maybe. I don't know, let's get a little bit thinner into that. Just something that indicates maybe a bit of a column right here. Let's also get some of our more dark over here. Solidify more of an edge right there. Yeah, something like that. We need to, here, let's get a little bit of texture into this. Don't want it to be too smooth, do we? I think we're almost caught up here. So I've never actually played Magic, so I don't know anything about a connection between them and Lord of the Rings. Well, I guess that's so what is it? It is a yeah, never. Well, I think I tried playing Magic once a long, long time ago, and just said, yeah, it's looks neat. It's not for me. The cards always the card art always is kind of neat to see. But only ever played it a couple of times and said, yeah, that is not quite the thing for me. But it's cool. It's cool. How long has that been around? 25 years potentially? Or has it been, geez, has it been closer to 30? He told the rest of the party to leave so he didn't have to split it. Oh, that's, is that a little bit of treasure hoarding there, Landrast? A little bit of treasure hoarding by Gandalf. Well, of course, we now know who has the ring, and it ain't Alex anymore. It is not Alex in possession of that ring. No siree. Not Alex anymore. It's somebody else now. So it started in 93, I thought so. I don't know. I guess the question is, are there cards that you can still use from then, or yeah, does anything get grandfathered in or changed or anything like that? Let's see if I can maybe just, again, hint at a little bit of a column or something over there. You know what? I think we'll lighten up this area too, maybe a bit here, to kind of indicate that this part of the whip is maybe casting some light on that area too. Let's see. Probably just the land cards, letting you use the cards forever cuts into the profit margin. That's what I thought is, how does a game last for 30 some odd years or whatever, or close to 30 years when you don't have to buy any cards for 30 years, or not have to essentially rebuy almost everything all the time over and over. It's not like Shmeem Shmurkshop ever does something like that. That does not happen. No siree. I think there's a lot of changes, and some cards are good for a format that allows those older sets. So I'm telling you, I was wondering. So in like that was my next question was, do they just say, okay, for the folks that we don't want to necessarily lose people if they continue playing, maybe they'll just want some of the new stuff. So that answers the question right there. That's I thought so. All right, where is? Might just use. Look at this. I'm gonna pre-abuse it. All right, what do we got here? A little bit of our black spin. I might throw a little bit of indigo into that. And all I'm gonna do is just see if maybe, I don't know, we throw a little bit of a pillar in here. kind of Moria style. So I know that M-Teles, they did, oh gosh, what was it called? Champions or something like that. And I mean, that it wasn't Games Workshop's fault, but that thing bombed horribly because the company had no idea what they were doing. And I guess Games Workshop just kind of sells licenses and then says, "Well, all right, we got our money. If you want to completely screw up the operation, feel free to." I was a little bit surprised because it has their name on it, so that surprised me a little bit, I have to say, that they didn't kind of monitor that more closely and say, "Yeah, you can't just completely mess this up here." So now I feel like I got a little something going on over here, right? And also too, our quadrants that we do, well, making it a 9 space, these two things fall literally right at the apex of each of those, which is kind of nifty. So see how we're getting a little bit of our softer blending right there? Softer blending through scumbling. I think, yeah, I think that's what it wasn't it called? Was it called Age of Sigmar Champions, or I forget what the name of the card game was actually called. Well, the reason I know is because Kathy bought a bunch of that stuff. She was in on the Discord thing when that all started, and it crumbled very rapidly. Of course, hundreds of dollars in cards later, or whatever it was, I don't know, maybe 100 and something. That's oh, sorry. Yeah, it's dead now. So Age of Sigmar Champions. Okay, that's again, it's been a while since I last I kind of didn't want to be thinking about that anymore after all of the funds spent on those things that are just dead and gone. All right, here's a little bit of Fanchon Red. Again, doing the scumble, right? Everybody loves the scumble. Oh, by the way, this is 57 minutes in. Just 57 minutes. Doesn't have to take forever, does it? So Aussie, now in your D&D group, how many of these are they going to run into in the next adventure? I would think at least a couple, right? Just to make things kind of interesting. Should probably run into a couple of these. Let's see. Yeah, so they definitely well, they tried to do tournaments. I think they were offering prize money or something like that, and then they said, "Oh, well, sorry, no, we're not." And there have been people that booked a bunch of travel plans or whatever, thinking that they were going to win prize money to pay for it, and that was kind of the start of it. They didn't really, well, they didn't listen to the players. Of course, huge surprise. The company didn't listen to the players. So Grim now, has Bill Alexander ever painted a Balrog, though? That's the question. Of course, it's a happy little Balrog. It's a happy little Balrog, but it is a Balrog still. The question is, did Bill ever paint a happy little Balrog? So now we're starting to work in some flamey things outside of just the Balrog there. And pretty much just doing this. I'll just kind of like blam, blam, blam. That's it. Because any other kind of regular brushstroke, all it's going to do is just pull the paint along. Yeah, I just remember, boy, being so frustrated because, well, he was using oil paints and I was initially not using those. And hard lessons were learned, that's for sure. Let's see. You never know. Been doing some reading up on him. Apparently, he was a really great painter even outside his wet and wet TBT. Well, Grim, that's how. I mean, we told the story, right? He was a POW. I'm pretty sure he must have been in North Africa, something like that. He was a POW, and at the prison camp here in the. I'm pretty sure it was in the U.S. because I think that's a lot of where a lot of the North Africa guys ended up. He did paintings for the camp for the commandant, and I'm pretty sure he did portraits of the commandant's family and such, and that got him some privileges. I think he also learned English that way too. Blindstrook, how you doing? Geez, Grim, he must have started out on the Russian front and then ended up on the Western because, wow, yeah, he would have done so Grim, he would have done a bit more snowscapes, wouldn't he, if he was captured on the Eastern front? his his landscapes would have had a little bit more snow in them, I think.
Little hobbit, spark my ganja.
Shaza, how are you doing as we welcome in Blindstrook? Blindstrook, he's like, oh man, seriously? You're gonna remind me of this here? Benny was one tough dude, he had the belt and I had to take the belt away from him. It's like, they even let him have this lash. I wanted to have a folding chair, but all they gave me was this stupid stick. Like, really? Seriously? I want a folding chair. This is like a battle royal. You give me a stick? Oh, look, it lights up on the end. Yay, look at that. A stick that lights up on the end. Let's see. So he started painting portraits of the GI families. They liked it so much that they put together a studio for. Boy, that's cool, Grim. I knew that was a little bit along the lines of it. Here, let's do a quick little film noir. So he's still emerging just by virtue of all the values there. And of course, where did our other landscape go? And of course, after painting the one with the least amount of bright colors, we're painting the one with the most bright colors. But this relied on edges, right? Boromir, hard edges, softer edges as it goes back. Same thing here. Edges are a big thing. So Shaza, I hope that you're doing well. I guess. Oh, I guess tomorrow is Pyro Club. I was just about to ask, were you guys gonna do a hangout? But no, you'll be doing the Pyro Club thing, won't you? So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna throw some of my white into this, and then once I have the white in there, I can kind of get the back over the top with some of my fluorescents there. So yeah, I really enjoy the wet on wet stuff, but now that we've been doing the army painting series and we've been finding other ways to enjoy the oils. So yeah, I just never know these days when maybe somebody can't make it or there's too many people that can't play and they're not able to do it. Like how many weeks was the Monster of the Week delayed before the final countdown there? It was one of those partial party kills. It wasn't a total one. We all love the total party kill. Yeah, it's going to be story time with Kathy. I think the one of the initial names that we were banding about was fabulous fiction or something like that, because originally it was going to be more sci-fi type things, and then it kind of turned into, well, the Conan the Barbarian stuff, which that I was not expecting that she would be doing. But she might be getting her affiliate thing tomorrow. Basically, she just has to stream one more day. And of course, Twitch counts days very differently than everybody else does. I swear they use the Russian calendar. they certainly don't use the same, they don't count time the same way. They certainly don't count viewership the same way. So who's surprised that they also don't even count the calendar the same way? Do I darken you down with a little red? Why not? Why the heck not? I'm going to do the scumble again here. Something that's a little lighter, like this orange in a couple of places. Again, we want to have some fire coming off of him, don't we? Yeah, I think that's going to be a really fun thing for. I mean, it's something that we've been waiting quite a while for her to be able to do her own thing. So that's going to be really great. So now here I'm just going to let a little bit of the thinner get into that. Just because, and we'll let that sit there. And then we might come back and push that stuff around. But for right now, it's almost just kind of, again, indicating there's maybe some flames coming off of him or whatever. It's funny, it's almost a little bit like watercolors. It's a wee bit like watercolors. So Arto Michael, how has the printing been going? With the heat here, there was just no point in even trying. There just would have been kind of a poor time investment trying to get that going since, well, in the kitchen it was 85 degrees a few days ago, and that was a place where I actually had fans and air conditioning, so wasn't going to be trying to use the printer when it was that toasty. So Erda Michael, fortunately though, not actually brewing the coffee or actually stomping on the beans. I'm not sure they would have even let you had tools to do that, right? They were just going to have you stomp on the beans. All right, where's here it is, my fluorescent orange here. So yeah, at this point, Grim, it's literally just stream one more day. That's all she has to do. So I'm gonna just try and get some more of this orange out here. Unfortunately, I have to kind of just brush it out of there. Let's get that back on there. So Omega Ohm, yeah, actually, didn't did Vince and somebody else get together on a one-page rule thing? Oh gosh, it's been a while actually since I've seen his, and gotten any alerts for his YouTube videos, but didn't Vince and somebody else did do that? Hey Deuce, how you doing? Look at that Deuce showing his loyalty to Mordor like always. So Deuce, I hope that you're doing well. Well, actually, it's a happy Friday because it's Friday here. I'm sure for most everybody else, for Grim it is not Friday yet. For Armored Wolf it is not Friday yet. But it is now Friday here. I know it is for Shaza. And Arda Michael locked out of the workstation. That sounds about right, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound just about right? Oh my goodness. So yeah, this is our fluorescent orange right here. Just oh baby, look at that. Look at that nifty stuff going on there. See how opaque that fluorescent paint is? But I still have work tomorrow, but some overtime pay. Oh yeah, Omega that's right. They have a lot of 3D printing to go along with that. So Omega, does anybody? Well, I have tons of really neat from things like Loot Studios. I think Lost Kingdoms. I have a lot of neat Tomb Kings files, but that would be hopefully One Page Rules got the Tomb Kings right. So yeah, look at how this is making the camera go absolutely bonkers. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's making the camera go bonkers. And of course, we're going to let that set for just a bit before we can try and go back in there and play with the fluorescence a little bit more. So we will do a little bit of what actually lurks in Moria, or at least what Gandalf is afraid of. At least what Gandalf is actually afraid of, because he wasn't really clearly, if he was scheduling a dance-off with Bernie the Balrog, he wasn't really afraid of what lurked in Moria. Not at all. And the Balrog is all like, "Oh yeah, I know what you mean, man. I thought I was the scariest thing in Moria here until I ran across these guys. Even the Balrog ran away from these guys. He took one look at them. He wanted nothing to do with the mimes. Yeah, those are the mimes. Jetez-moi. That says toss me. That sure does. And we love the mimes. Look at there's our parasol goblin. Look at our pogo stick up. See that chainsaw picking out or sticking up from behind the flag right there. And of course, well, yeah, they would certainly wear berets, but you know, they were fashionable. Look at the top hat. Look at how fashionable he was. And of course, chef's hat, you know, garçon, the chef right there. I'm not quite sure why he's holding that really warm baguette not in his oven mitt hand, but for whatever reason. And of course, Charles de Gaulle, only a two-star general, but you know, hey, when you got a mustache and a tie like that, do you really need more than 2 stars? Speaking of 2 stars, these two guys thought they were the stars of the team. That's Francois and Pierre. I don't know if you can see little cigarettes hanging out of their mouth. Yeah, they do have cigarettes hanging out of their mouth. Maybe that's another reason why they didn't do any blocking or tackling. I did sculpt the shirts on him, and of course, on Francois's hand, I did have to cut open his hand to sculpt a glass, a little bit of Chablis in there. Speaking of metal, all of these guys were metal. There was maybe one or two, like the two little plastic gobos on either side. That was it. Everything else was metal. Heck, even some of the grots were metal. And I had to saw off pieces and hack bits of it apart just to be able to do that. So, yep, that is what is scarier than a Balrog by far. Because again, even the Balrog was scared of that. See, if you just pay the Patreon for 1 month, you get all the advanced rules plus $200 worth of 3D prints. Well, that sounds really amazing, of course. So Grimm's going to wait for the... well, Grimm, there was one system. It wasn't a tabletop game so much, but it was Inquisitor. That used 54 millimeter figs. So yeah, there was something back in the day. You know what? I might let a little bit of the lighter orange get into that. Maybe a little bit of the thinner here. So yeah, those old metal mimes, they were not the easiest thing to work with, let me tell you. There was of course, you know, now with all the digital printing, you could just print a few and make your conversions that way. See if we can't tone out some of the edge on this. Also start to make it look a little bit more flamey. That's a little bit too regular right there. So we are going to go in, cut a little more of that away. I'm going to take my little scumbly brush here and do the scumble right there to scumble in some lighter colors. Let's see what we're going to maybe do with our Gandalf right here. I might just take that and soften that up a smidge. And then I'm going to start pulling some of this out this way. Where is that? Oh, I might grab my number. Is this my 10 round or my 18? That's my 18 or 18 spotter. Sorry. Whoops, there's my white. Don't want to lose track of that. We really need to lighten up here where his arm is going to be, and Same thing here on his hair. Then we'll also have to work in more of our darks on Gandalf here. Let's get the rest of his stick. Of course, yeah, again, Gandalf, he was expecting a little bit better prize than just a wooden stick. He thought, well, or a weapon. He thought he was going to have a chair. He's going to be wielding a chair instead of a silly pokey sword and a stick. But I guess you work with what you got, right? Oh, guess what? We're also going to throw a little bit of the light from his staff on here. You thought we weren't going to be doing nothing there, huh? No, we're putting a little light from his staff on that. Let's work it back this way a little more here. And perhaps even a little bit more forward. But a sharp edge, right? Sharp edge here, sharp edge over there. We need that edge contrast, and I'm not really going to even bother with any sort of light things that go that way. I'm going to see what happens when we go this way with it. And maybe another one over this way. Now we'll just get that party started with the little wisps of the light that kind of come out of this. Okay, I'm gonna grab me. Do we have our spotter over there? Is this that's the 20-0 round. Yeah, I'm gonna get me some, at least some kind of darker gray out here. So we have something to contrast with that. We might actually warm this up a little bit with some of our Van Dyke brown too. Yeah, just a little bit of our Van Dyke brown there. I'm gonna get a little bit of our fluorescent red into that, or fluorescent orange really. And then we'll do a little bit of blending around this. I think that area just needs to be darker behind there. Not a big deal. Something like that. Just needs to be a little darker here. And maybe even a little darker here where that whip is. And we talked about smoothing this out later. We're doing that same scumbling brushstroke here. Smooths that out, but we couldn't do it right away. We had to wait for some of this stuff to set, didn't we? Let's continue some of that out this way here. Where did that? There it is. That's actually got to go in between his head and that sword, create a little space for it. And then we need to just peel away a little bit of this part of Gandalf here. That's more like it. He was looking a little bit too wide. Now it looks like he's sort of leaning back a little bit. Just a tiny smidge. See if we can maybe sharpen a couple of edges here around his head. Here around his hand too. We're just going to grab some of that darker asphaltum. Like so. There. Starts to show up a little bit more. All right, well, Aaron Beanel, thanks for joining. So Art of Michael is at the point where you're printing the big multi-plate models. Well, Art of Michael, you're going to have to send me some pictures of what you print out. You have to send me some pictures of that fun stuff. then make me all envious, of course, because I guess we're just not going to have that large format printer. The person that I'm dealing with there, if you just rolled a d20 every 5 minutes, you still wouldn't be able to keep pace with their changing mind. So I'm just going to say that that source is not going to happen. They also don't listen to anything that I say, which is one of the reasons why we had to start the stream about 5-10 minutes later than I was originally going to. So here I'm going to just promote a little bit more of the lighter orange on our Gandalf here on this side, because, you know, light source. Heck, maybe on his little stick right there. So Aaron Bandel, you have a good one, and thanks again for hanging out with us. Now I am going to also, I think, zoom in a little bit closer here because we can do that. Boom, there, fills in a little more of that area. So we'll Michael, that grow tent, that does work because, well, there's a few people in the chat that actually have gotten those and used them. Although I just took just a small one of those little space heater, right, and just kind of kept it in the general vicinity and let it just kind of warm up the area a little bit, and that seemed to really do the trick. So I'm going to see what happens here. There might be one of these lights. I'm going to see what happens when I kill this light here. So just, okay, now we don't have as much of a reflection on this. Of course, it makes it real dark for me, but is what it is. I mean, that pretty much happens all the time, right? It's like, oh yeah, let's just make it so that the one person who needs to see it cannot see it. So here we'll do, again, a little bit of our Moria design there with the pillars here. Where is, I just use this, I think, yeah. At this point, I'll just use a little bit of our same dark color here. And they're your prototypical Moria stuff like this, right? Maybe even do another design into that. And then let's go the other way with something like so. And maybe like that as well. We'll take a brush here to move some of this around. We don't want it quite that sharp. Let's see. So, yep, Michael, the basement that I have, I do believe that last winter it was getting to be about 57 degrees down there. Because, well, there may be actual heat down there, unlike the air conditioning, which there's none. But even with the heat down there, yeah, it can still get to be about, well, I think 55 degrees is one of the lower temperatures that I've recorded down there. And Zpet brings it into the bathroom there. So yeah, the what is that again? Oh yeah, the grow tent. Uh, it kind of, well, obviously holds in the natural warmth of the printer there. But I guess if you augment it too with a little heater, you know, you kind of heat up the area first, then stick it in the grow tent. All right, Grim, you have a good one. Thanks so much for hanging out. And oh, Grim, I do hope that kind of helped a little bit. You can get those. Well, those are a dime a dozen now. The photo booth thing like that, just a dime a dozen. Now those backdrops there, sadly, the company that made those is out of business for years now. But you could potentially just print that out, something like that, a blue-white fade. So that's something you could do. Now maybe some more of his body right here. And then we're going to try and split into some of the flame here. Bit more this way. So for Friday, let's see. It could be Kitsune stuff. It could be, well, no, I won't have that thing ready. No way we'll have that ready for Friday. It may just have to be some 3D printed stuff, or it could be it could be that Captain Hook. Yeah, it could be something from the Neverland Pirates. I don't know. It could be a couple of things. That is yet to be determined. Now we're starting to, yeah, I'm starting to feel more like the whip here is going to have some turn to it. And also look a little bit more flamey. Yes, indeed. We're going to kill some of those edges too. And I think maybe we'll just, I don't know. I'm going to, again, change things up just a bit here. A little bit of a change. Why not? Almost like we're putting a bit of a horizon line there. And that is, we're just using some thinner with that. Yeah, I'm going to lighten this up just a smidge too. Again, just to kind of indicate our flame right there. And some more here. See, it's starting to look a little bit more lashy, a little more flamey. Actually, I was looking forward to being able to add some darks to it. We have been doing a lot with the lighter colors. I might also come back and get some of my light orange, and we're probably going to get some of our light yellow as well. And let's pull some of that out to here. Yeah, a little bit more of our darker orange right there. I'll just indicate something going on in the background here behind him. Maybe that's kind of indicates his leg is there. I've got, where's one of my, yep, there he is. It's got some of our darker color on it there. Gonna see if I can't give him maybe some of his arm right here. And what could be interesting, perhaps, I don't know, let's see if we can thin this down. And then maybe do, see like the cracked, yeah, that cracked texture on him there. I mean, it was on the Balrog miniatures, which was cool, so maybe we can do that here too. On our 2D version of him. So there, a little bit of indication. Ah, look at that. See that? Hey, Scooter, how you doing? And big Hey, Big Tiger. Big Ty German, how you doing? So pretty it's pretty interesting that he's like, whew, man, that was rough. Again, would have liked the chair instead of a stupid little stick. That light, oh, here, I'll get you with my little glow light. Yeah, that really made him scared. I'm telling you. I think it just cheesed him off that much more. Yes, that all that did was just it was kind of like waving a stick at a bear or something. Didn't really scare the Balrog, just made him a little bit more irritated. So Scooter, I hope that you're doing well. So Big Ty, nothing like that. Uh, Never really painted any kind of D&D imagery. It's only the last couple of months that we've even painted Lord of the Rings imagery. The fantasy thing, it really wasn't really the vibe. I did Celtic mythology. Well, actually, here I can show you some of this. Now, this is of course a tiny little sampling. You can see all the other, well, most of the other 2D art on the blog, but we did a lot of Celtic themed art. We also did some sci-fi things. A lot of Babylon 5. Really loved Babylon 5. And then here's some of our pastels. Again, a lot of wildlife, lots of spacescapes, tons of spacescape. We'll definitely be painting that. There's two spacescapes that I really want to paint in oils for sure. This is some I painted when I was 13. Speaking of oils, another one of our spacescapes there. We did an entire series of these crazy little dragons right here. That was very fun. And again, more spacescape type stuff. So yeah, when it came to the 2D art, well, of course, it's dictated by where you're trying to sell things. So Ren fairs, hence a lot of the Celtic-based stuff. Yeah, you'd never want to cheese off the Balrog, right? So Big Tie, I actually have, well, we painted a lot of clerics. I've certainly painted lots of cleric miniatures. In fact, it wasn't all that long ago that I just painted a cleric miniature. I've painted a couple of spirit weapons. I think actually they were Reaper figures back. Yeah, I think they were Reaper figures. So that's as far as clerics and spirit weapons, we've painted miniatures of those. Let me see if I can maybe just indicate that maybe his arm is there. Yeah, that's good. Boy, Big Tie, that just makes me really hungry. That really makes me that makes me want deep fried cheese curds even more. Like right now. Oh yeah, deep fried cheese curd. That wouldn't that be just a fantastic right about now at 1:03 in the morning? Of course it would. There's never a bad time for deep fried cheese curds. So again, the whole idea is to try and tie this area in, because if you look at the references, there's no whip or anything like that. I just thought it should have something like that here. Okay, and I'm going to see if I can't again spread out some parts of this. We still have to come back and grab some of our orange. Here's also some flame right there, and then some of our fluorescent yellow again. So we have been using our homemade fluorescent colors there. This also has a little bit of thinner in it, I have to say. Another thing too that might really help here is we'll make that a little bit darker too. So I'm going to come back in here, a little bit of the asphaltum. Yeah, that should do it. A little bit of our asphaltum right over there. I'm just going to get a little bit of thinner into that to help that flow. Yeah, a little bit of contrast is what that needed. We're also going to snap a little picture of this thing because we've been trying to do that along the way. Yeah, that works a little better here. So Atomic Walrus, how you doing? Yes, the Balrog is here to spark the ganja. It's a battle royale between Gandalf and the Balrog. All right, we're going to take a quick little snap of that one here. Again, just to kind of keep a little record along the way here. Let's get that. Boom. Like so. So Atomic Walrus, happy Friday, cause well, it's officially Friday here. It has been for just over an hour, and I hope everybody else is also going to have a very good Friday, if not a spectacular Friday. All right, darken this up. You know what? Actually, a little bit of the indigo here. Yeah, might. So his hand over there. I think we'll darken some of this down too. And maybe a little bit more of our lighter orange on that bridge. Where'd that brush go? Here it is. So I'm going to grab, where's my light orange? I'm going to grab some of this now, I think. So unfortunately at this point I just have to kind of open up the jars and sort of fish out some of that color there. I think I probably could squeeze some of it out at this point now that I've really mixed the heck out of it. I was filming a video earlier today on my Moria goblins. So we did a little bit more with those. I think I painted 5 more of them. Hey, Munich, how you doing? Gee whiz, it's been a while. Well, Atomic Walrus, some of the keys to that, of course, is it's all about the reflections. All about the reflections. And your edges. Hard edges, edge contrast, lots of reflections. So, Muddix, nice to see you. Boy, I think it's been a couple of weeks. I hope that everything's been going okay. Nothing too difficult to deal with or anything. I know there's been a lot of things for folks in the chat that just has not been super fun. I might just snag again a little bit of the cadmium yellow here. See if we can't use this orange to make some more opaque light. Some tendrils of flame coming off of the... Yeah, there we go. Just been busy. Okay. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's so funny after last week, where it's literally the least amount of color contrast. This is all about edge contrast here. This, well, I think you got a little bit of colors going on there, huh? Just a little bit of colors going on. And there's more lights that we can add in plenty of different places. We can add more darks to create even more contrast in others. So this just kind of adding those to give that impression once again of sort of the lava portion of the skin. Thanks, Modix. Yeah, we let's see. The week before that was Rivendell. Not sure if you got a chance to see the Rivendell one. That has gone off to its forever home, so we don't have the Rivendell one anymore. We could always try to make ourselves another Rivendell. Trying to make another little bit of a lighter color here. Maybe let that mix in here where his mouth is going to be. Yeah, we'll do some more stuff on our Gandalf, but right now I think I'm going to also get this to be a little more orange right here, I think. Yeah, it's looking a little bit too dusky there. I'm going to fire that up a little bit. There we go. So that's our fluorescent orange using our homemade fluorescent paints, which is very fun. Uh, it was kind of interesting to paint the little gobos there to kind of get into that Moria mood. Going to try and shoot a little bit of our on that side of our column there. Like so. And maybe even a bit this way. I also want to, kind of get some of the perspective going here. See what happens when, let's get some of our lighter texture here on some of the stone. And boy, I'm gonna go head back over here to my reference. That's a tricky point right here. It's kind of a where does the Gandalf staff light take over and the Balrog light end. I'm gonna go there with it. Might just darken that. Yep, I'm gonna go darker there and by darker I mean just some Fanchon red. Probably look at how dark that Fanchon red looks. Remember when we were working up here on the Balrog and we said, there's plenty more dark that we can add into that one. We weren't joking. So yeah, we've been doing some noirs along the way, and it's really interesting. Atomic Walrus, the one we were just showing there with that was all about the edge contrast with Boromir. Believe it or not. So here we'll give you a film noir real quick. And as we take away that color, edges dominate. Everything else very soft, edges dominate. We don't have any of the color contrast anymore. It's all about the edges, which is interesting, right? Because, and I'll grab that other one real quick here. I don't want to get too much of the orange all over it, but even when it's like this, edges dominate. And I mean, look at the difference in the intensity of the colors there. Isn't that crazy? I'm also going to take a quick little picture of this again, just so we can keep having our little references along the way, because people do seem to like to have these. Here, let's just get a picture snapped of that. You gotta go hard with the edges sometimes, right? You gotta put an edge on it. If it's not edgy enough, it's not gonna work. It needs to be edgier. There's another edge, right? Where we've got the bridge. And the more dark we put along that edge, the more contrast we are going to get. Do some of that down here as well. And it was kind of a fun. We were sort of throwing some colors out here. Then we actually wiped this away. There was nothing here. There was just the bridge. And I actually took some thinner and I wiped it away. And then we actually created this flame thing here. So that was, originally there was nothing there, which is really, I just get endlessly entertained by that idea. There was really nothing there at first, anyways. Landress did some edging. Yeah, I haven't, I may have to be cutting. That's another reason why I don't think I'll have any time for prepping figures tomorrow, because I may have to do the grass cutting. And again, it all kind of depends on stuff. But I do have, actually, of course, those miniatures, I don't know where they went. I had a box of them somewhere, but could be some of those pirate figures. They would be very stylized for sure. Think we might do the Captain Hook. Uh, maybe that Bosun Bill. They are commission figures, so they got to get done anyways, so might just have to do those. All right, here, let's, I'm going to go this way too. Yeah, let's do that. Here, let's take some. Do I want to do some more? Maybe not. Maybe not. I'm going to go back over here to the. Where's my orangey brush? There it is. It's the orangey brush. Uh, yeah, maybe a little bit of that down here. I gotta smooth this out a little bit here. Let's take some of the orange here. We'll smooth this out. And then we got to figure out what is going to happen here with our Gandalf. I'm going to come back with my, just gonna clean out some of the orange there. And then we got to get some lighting back here, I think. Oh, okay. So his hair. I don't want him leaning back too far here. And then do I want to go lighter with his cloak on this arm here? I don't know, I'm going to go darker. Oh, thanks, Aussie. But Art of Michael, I think the most slices I ever had was maybe 2,300. And that was a print that took a good long, long time. Yeah, I think 2,300 was maybe the longest. So thanks, Aussie. Well, we're starting to get more into the, like the character guys, right? Starting to get more into the characters. Uh, I mean, technically still a landscape, right? There's some of your Moria, and there's the bridge. There's the bridge at Khazad-dûm, so it's still technically a landscape, right? But it's got some guys in it. It's got the Balrog. It's got some Gandalf in there. All right, we'll leave that go. I am going to try and take some of that. That's some indigo, actually. And we're going to see if we can't kind of almost give that idea of moltenness. That's a word. It's a word now. I guess we just made that up. We can make up words if we want to here. So I think the 2400, that was, well, of course, my settings were far more conservative than the average person, so the prints just took longer. They definitely took a bunch longer. Now, it was okay. It was just, it's better to just have an actual print. You don't really save any time if you have no print by the end of the however many hours that you had it set for. So I didn't mind just letting it take a little bit longer. Moltenicity, that's going to be our new word right there. Yes, anytime we do lava bases or whatever, we'll say we have to increase the moltenicity. So about 14 hours. Well, that's that's definitely a much faster printer than the old Elegoo Mars, right? So here I'm gonna indicate a little bit of his arm right there. And then we're just going to take that, and it's one of the bigger blending brushes, right? We've kind of gone with some bigger blending brushes on the paintings than you typically see on the miniatures. And then maybe we won't, well, it would be interesting to have the bluish light kind of cross over that too. Not sure if we'll be able to do that or not. I am going to take some of the Fanchon red here though. And maybe get some more edges here, like some more scumbling. It's a molten intensity. There you go. The photon mono. The other print is the old photon. Yeah, well, I mean, just having the mono screen, right? Doesn't that kind of cuts the printing time down by half almost, I think, just by virtue of having the colorless screen. All right, we've got that again crossing over in front of our Balrog. We're gonna can't do a little bit of our softening of this here. Yeah, let's push it up that way. And all we're doing is literally just stippling. That is it. That's all we're doing. It's a little bit of stippling there. Again, some of our. That's just Fanchon red, boy. It looks so dark there. It's interesting where things you'd think, boy, that's gonna look so light. It looks light on the palette, and then you get on to the actual painting, and it looks just a little bit different. So again, I think I'm gonna see if I cannot darken that. Layer times go from 8 seconds to 2. Hey, Pendrake, how you doing? So that was a big thing, right? Well, color screen's gonna just make that take a whole lot longer. So Pendrake, I hope that you're doing well. Oh, we're gonna soften up a couple of these things here, but again, composition-wise, right? We wanted to have these two guys. We do our 9 areas. We wanted him up here, and we wanted Gandalf down here. Then this was the real interesting thing. We actually wiped away paint. We quite literally wiped away paint with the sponges and some of the thinner, and replaced it with some lighter colors. So you can do that. We certainly did that here. It is definitely possible. And of course, we've been using our homemade fluorescent oil paints like that. Oh, Pendrick, sorry that things aren't going so well. Hopefully that's something that is just temporary. So you find the single biggest influence on the whole process has been the resin. Now, I know I really do like the Soraya Smoky Black. I hope that's going to work. I think they actually sent me some of that frozen gray. Yeah, I think they sent me whatever their generic frozen resin is. I know they sent me some of that. See if I can get just a few points of my orange in there. Up here too, we'll just grab some of this. And now I'm going to come back again. See if we can grab some of this and throw that out on the palette too. I'm just going to say, well, I didn't really put that much in the jar to begin with, so we're going to have here. Let me just grab another paper towel here if I can. And we're just going to try and throw some more of our bright fluorescent yellow here out on the palette somewhere. And we'll get to clean up a little bit of this here. All right, just about ready to go again. Because we got some of that sitting over here now. We'll have to thin it down just a smidge. I had no idea how this stuff was going to act on something like illustration board. I mean, I knew it was going to do on a miniature, but we hadn't used on illustration board yet. So again, all that is just the fluorescent yellow. Might let it mix a little bit of the orange here. Makes that a little bit lighter. And it's all opaque, which is just really crazy. Almost anything Soraya works well. Yeah, Art and Michael, that is the key, right? That just being able to use regular old rubbing alcohol that you can get from the store. That is so nice to be able to do that. That is my favorite part about it, is that you can just use that stuff. Ah, the Soraya Smoky Black. Yeah, that's kind of funny. ZPet, it was that was the thing that was out of stock here. Everything else, Soraya had all of it. That was the one thing that was out of stock. Fortunately, well, I'm glad to hear that it's back in, that's for sure. Hopefully that works with the Sonic Mini 4K. I'm guessing that it will. So yeah, we're just talking about some of the different 3D printing resins that are out there. Everybody kind of, well, everybody kind of has their favorites. Ones that work well, ones that don't work well. Looking at the side of his face here, I think we're also going to, yeah. A little bit of light coming from the side. There's sort of like what's going on here on his horns. I might even add a little bit more of our fluorescent yellow to that. And as always, as soon as you start adding something like the brilliant yellow pale or whatever, it does start to dull down the effect. It's just something you have to keep in mind. She has two nostrils there. I think we've got the... I'm going to actually take some of my Fanchon red here and some of the orange, and we'll that get a little darker. And even where his, well, the bottom of his mouth, I was about to say his tongue, but that's really, doesn't really have one. But I think that could stand to be a little bit darker there. That's more like it. There we go. And Trurius, how you doing? So it's been fun. We divided this up into our 9 quadrants, so we were able to get Balrog and Gandalf here, our 2 main composition elements, exactly where we want them to be. Trurius, thank you so much, because we could certainly use a little sip with the sub. Thank you very much. That is much appreciated. We definitely needed that. Yeah, we'll just darken this down, because again we need some contrast with our flames. So what we did here is we actually did a big old change on this. This was originally, there was no flame right here. We actually wiped some of this stuff away, and it was really dark. We wiped all that away, and we started putting this on top here. So thank you so much, Intruders, and thanks again for the sub. That really, well, it helps a ton, that's for sure. It's really appreciated. And yeah, I think we will be posting the next Patreon video probably tomorrow or something like that. We filmed a new one, actually the last 2 nights. Well, I filmed it just earlier today, actually, because Kathy was doing her D&D stuff, so we had a chance to film during the regular evening hours instead of in the middle of the night. So he doesn't really have fangs, actually. He just basically, it just kind of ends right here. Yeah, he didn't actually have any fangs. Which, like I said, his face is really weird. He had no nose, no real discernible facial features except just the two glowing eyes, and that's about it, and the horns. So yeah, he had no fangs on him. Not sure how he ate. I guess he just kind of gummed down some goblins every now and then. And that's one of the weirdest things about the whole Balrog when I was doing the miniature. I mean, the head was just kind of like very muddy. Not a lot of stuff going on shape-wise except for the horns. That was about it. So yeah, so Ozzy's got some VODs to watch. So yeah, he was. Don't think of him as like a dragon or something like that. He was. Well, here we can. Let's find our Balrog picture here. Now it doesn't really show it because again, there's just not much to see as far as his facial features go. But yeah, he didn't really have any teeth. His head was mostly horns. The vast majority of his head was just those horns, and there was just some little bony protrusions off of that, and then the two little holes for eyes, and that's about it. So, and that like folks are saying that whole shadow and flame kind of all at the same time. Some parts are shadow, some parts are flame. All right, let's do some of our. I'm gonna put some dark over here. Yep, because I wanted that horn to stand out a little bit more. So pretty much that was it's basically like a big old horn with two eyes in it and then a jaw. And he's definitely like Arta Michael is saying, it's definitely more like a fire elemental. So he's not a dragon. And of course in the game he doesn't fly. He has wings, but he doesn't fly. You can have for your Moria army, you can have fire drakes, and you can have fire breathing dragons, but the Balrog does not fly. Which is probably a good thing because he would be so incredibly powerful that it would go very badly for you, no doubt about it. So what I'm going to do here is have some of these brushstrokes going this way because it's almost like this dark was just a continuation of the flame right there. So steelhead, you kind of look at artwork. Some have wings, some don't. I'm sure that the movie probably influenced a lot of folks. And Tolkien never really described the Balrog except it was a creature of shadow and flame. I think that's pretty much all that he ever really said about it. So not much info to work from there. But of course, putting wings on it makes it look scarier. So I'm sure that was a part of the logic right there. Well, I guess there's birds that have wings that don't fly, so that the whole category of your flightless birds, right? So it's a flightless Balrog. So yes, he's the proverbial flightless Balrog. I'm also going to darken this down too. And by darken, this is really not, I mean, that looks so dark right there. It's actually not all that dark. This is much darker over here. But this should, I'm going to go back this way with it. Yeah, see, it tightens up. That kind of makes this look like it's a nice curve now. Hey, Pascal, how you doing? So, yeah, it's the dodo bird of the fire elemental group. So if everyone could please give Pascal a follow, that would be fantastic. Pascal, how the heck are you doing? Pascal, your miniatures have been looking fantastic. So everybody, yeah, please check out Pascal. You'll be glad that you did because Pascal is an amazing painter and does really fantastic artwork. So definitely go check out Pascal. This is our fun little Gandalf versus Balrog showdown right here. We've been waiting a while to do this one. We're just going to soften up some more edges again. And we're literally just doing this. That's all we're doing. Just kind of poking the brush at this. Softens things up. So we're going to finish Cassandra. Actually, Pascal, if you've got some, yeah, I know you have tons of Instagram links. So if you want to pop some Instagram links into the chat there so people can see some of that amazing stuff, feel free. Gonna soften this down too. Mend a little bit of this stuff together too. You know, just all we're doing is this. It's a big old blending brush at this point. Big old blending brush. Because edges, right? Because edges. Here we're gonna do a little bit of quick film noir, and that's gonna show you edges. So even with all the reds, all that stuff gone, your edges still remain. Also your light sources, right? Center of interest. It's all about center of interest. Let's bring back our focus there. We're also going to take another little picture of this here because people really do like to have the step-by-step pictures along the way. Okay, there we go. And there it is. There's my brush. So it's a little bit of our asphaltum here. Let's see if I can't connect this even a little bit more to his body here. We're using a little bit of our thinner. We're also using this liner brush basically on its side here. It makes it a much bigger brush, doesn't it? And then once we've done that, we can now come back with our drier brush there and soften up that edge. So the homemade fluorescent oil paints, they seem to have really worked very nicely here. Again, wasn't quite sure what was going to happen with those on the illustration board. Hadn't used them there yet, but they seem to be doing just fine. I'm going to see if I can't get some of my darker colors spread out a bit more this way. There we are. Where is my 18? There's my 18-0. I'm going to throw a little bit more of our white out here because, again, we were doing a video earlier today. And we didn't have a whole bunch left. All right, let's make sure we can see that little highlight on his head. His sword, okay. His wee little stick right here. We'll get some light there. And now let's see if we can maybe do the light emanating from this. if we can. Not every one of these being equal in size. Now we'll just extend that out that way. We don't want to put too much of the liquid in there. So it did have wings. It spread it or drew itself to a great height, and its wings spread. Well, I mean, it's what is that? Vestigial wings or whatever. I mean, it was in Moria. It was hiding, so maybe it could fly at one point, and then it lost its ability. Of course, that one the one fight where you kind of, let's see, was it 7 Balrogs? Then there was 100 Balrogs. Then it was just a couple of Balrogs, and Tolkien just had a little bit of a tendency to do that sort of thing. I mean, I don't think he wasn't writing it the way modern writers would write things for public consumption. He was he was really more just doing it. I'm pretty sure, to just entertain himself and his kids, which is probably why people do like it so much, because it wasn't really written for a whole commercial purpose. So Artemichael, some of the Balrogs fled, and there could be more Balrogs. There is nothing that says this is the only other Balrog. There could be more. Remember, they woke it, so there could be other Balrogs that have yet to be awakened, that just maybe never get awakened because, well, the whole Fourth Age thing. And maybe the dwarves are a wee bit more careful about where they're digging. But yeah, the whole Balrog thing. I mean, Gothmog was a Balrog. Jose Cuervo was a Balrog. Everybody was a Balrog. There's just Balrogs all over the place. It's like, man, all these different guys that are also popping up in different parts of the story were also Balrogs. Also, too, it was conjectured that the Watcher in the Water was also another creature that just kind of ran away and hid. And it wasn't just like in that lake. That was it would like really went down deep and hid well underground. So that was the thing about, well, a lot of the critters in Middle Earth. Uh, I don't know if it was Men of the West, or again, some of those channels have changed their name, but I think it was probably Men of the West or Broken Sword. They did kind of a scale thing for creatures of Middle Earth, and even Urukai were basically just the size of men. And one of the reasons why the hobbits were able to kind of disguise themselves as orcs is because a lot of orcs weren't all that tall. Orcs were not huge. Even the Urukai were not super huge. Obviously, the modern day movies and such kind of, well, to make things scarier, they had to just keep making things bigger, right? I'm sure even, what was it, like King Kong, the first King Kong is not as big as the whatever iterations there are now, just because you got to make it bigger to be scarier. So I guess, well, we're getting close to September here. It's the 27th now. I don't know when in September the new audiobook is supposed to be out, that's narrated by Andy Serkis, but I'm kind of looking forward to that because that would be my chance to actually be able to, well, read the book, so to speak. So there were multiple Balrogs. It was assumed once the elves left that all faded into the fourth age. But that was definitely something that they talked about on the, again, either Men in the West, Think Geek, there's In Deep Geek. There's so many of those, and I'm glad that there are. For somebody like me that doesn't have a chance or the time to be reading Silmarillion, Lost Tales, the appendices, and some of that sort of background info, they do a good job of collating that. I mean, it's also, well, it's great because I can just be listening to it while I'm packing miniatures, prepping miniatures, or whatever. Because there's no time for reading, sadly, as we got Valandar in here. So Valandar, if you want to share some of your Instagram links to all your painted miniatures, that would be cool. You've been really, geez, Valandar, how many miniatures have you painted in the last say 3 weeks or so? 3, 4 weeks. I keep seeing every time I turn around, there's a new painted miniature on your Instagram there. So yeah, I looked today, and I think was it today there was another new painted miniature. So that's really cool. And yeah, you want to throw some links to some of those paint jobs in there, that would be just fine. Ooh, you know what I'm gonna do? Let's have some separate flames coming off of this. That's what we're missing. Also is gonna help enhance I think some of the edge here too. And it'll be handy down here. And Valender just posted one about 45 seconds ago. Well, I'm sure that's going to pop up in my Instagram feed tomorrow. Well, later today, right? Because tomorrow is today. And like I said, for the Friday stream, it could be a couple of those Neverland Pirates by Christine Van Patten. So I think that's what we might just be doing for the stream tomorrow, because they're all prepped and they're ready to go. And that kind of is very important, since I won't have any time to prep things. So Reaper's Shadow Hound as a photographic negative. That sounds that sounds really cool, Valendar. Yeah, I can't wait to see that tomorrow. Bit more here. I keep waiting to see Drax. I don't, as Drax hasn't been in here yet, has he? I don't think so. So we're taking some of our lighter orange here. I'm gonna see, you know what? I'm gonna maybe do some of our little, just get more thinner into this. And do a little bit more of the crackly lava-esque skin there. And if everyone could please give Valendar a follow too, that would be fantastic. That's the great thing about Twitch. Community supports each other. I know Kathy's appreciated all the support that she's gotten, as she is going out under the Kathy brand name. And hopefully well, I think it's just, she has all the numbers she needs. She just has to actually do the stream. So when she's done with that stream, she will have her affiliate, and good times will be had. Oh, and well, then she'll have to start making her emotes. That's right. Because I think you have to at least be affiliate before you can do the emotes. Or we're going to just kind of have some little fiery things coming off of this. Again, we just put this in here just to something to get some interest over this way, and also too, it kind of indicates that much more that it's Moria, right? Just gives you that much more of a indication. Don't want, again, don't want to go too much, too crazy with all of that stuff. Now, thank you so much, Aussie. So yeah, well, I guess tomorrow would be one of Kathy's reading streams, of course, being a Friday. I guess it's the island of Dr. Moreau. She still has to continue with that story. I don't know where she is in that story. You know what I'm going to do? This is kind of have the idea here. I say I like this idea that there's this light in the middle. It almost kind of has a bit of a plasma look to it there. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can do that some more here instead of just the original way I was thinking of doing that. I don't know if it really would translate as nicely as this. I think this translates a little bit better here. You know what I should do? I should probably get some of this on his leg there. We should probably just indicate some kind of a light coming that way. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, that looks like he at least has a leg somewhere. Because, you know. So Pendrake says that Godzilla got bigger with each successive movie. Was that the performance enhancing drug? So basically, you've got kind of his chest extending along this way here. His arm is actually kind of going off camera there, and then you've got the whip going this way. It is very hard to see. I mean, literally in all the reference pictures, because it's all, well, it's shadow and flame, and all of this is just kind of clouds right here, clouds of smoke and ash. There's some where all you just saw was his face and a whole bunch of flame around it. So this is his back. Well, here I can. Now you'll have to imagine that the sword is replaced by his. There you go. So that's pretty much the position that he's in. And again, here that's another view of him right there. So his arms spread out very wide, and he's just kind of hunched over. Now looking down at Gandalf right there. So Father Wynn, I hope everything's going well for you. And of course, we're just trying to indicate a couple of things. The main thing that I'm really trying to show is the whip there, and of course we want to have the opposing colors of light. We're also thinking about edges and such too. So I'm going to also fade that edge just a bit. Oh, thanks, E-Pet. I mean, he's well, you saw how big he was compared to all the little goblins, and those little goblins aren't that much smaller than Gandalf is. And of course, I mean, there's light emanating here. There's light coming off of his back. His wings are also light. There's light all over the place, which is why I kind of went with that theme for the Moria goblins, is just kind of light being spread all over the place. And I might just let a couple of indications of this flamey orange here get the bottom of the bridge in a couple of places here, but not too much. If we do too much of that, it's going to create an edge that we don't want. Maybe I'm going to soften down some of those just with my finger right there. Let's have a couple of more bits of flame just kind of coming off of that whip right there. To almost just basically hide the bar. He's kind of hidden behind the flame there. Even some of the miniatures of him, like those collectible type things, it's really hard to see what the heck is going on with them. But that like folks have said in the chat, he was supposed to be kind of mysterious and such, and part shadow and part flame. Oh, gee whiz, the Loot Studios Baba Yaga house. Boy, I tell you what I miss printing out. Well, among all the other Loot Studios figures, one of the things I really miss printing out is all their basing bits. And I had just done some build plates with those. I was really looking forward to doing some basing with that and some more terrain stuff. Let's see, the goblins didn't flee when the Balrog showed up, but then they stayed in the shadows. Steelhead, what's interesting, now of course, I think it's even a little bit different with the Legendary Legion with the Balrog, but when the Balrog is present, the goblins pass all courage tests. It doesn't matter, Gandalf or whatever, Elrond, or we could do Terrifying Aura, and those goblins, they're not going anywheres. They are not afraid of that. So I'll go back to my Fanchon Red over here. I mean, I guess too, if you think what monsters were like in movies or in fiction of that era versus what they're like now, like we've been talking about, right? They have to be more and more, more bigger, more terrifying, more scary, more this, more everything. And then eventually you just kind of get a little bit numb to scary monsters because they're not quite so scary anymore because you've just seen too many monsters. So ZPet every month, uh, Loot Studios has new basing bits, new terrain bits. Obviously they have the busts, they have the 75 mil stuff, and they have the regular figures. But in every month's release, they also have things like basing bits and candelabras and basically like a tavern. So they had a tavern so far, and it kind of is themed to that month's release. Sometimes they're fountains. I like ADC. Again, I'll have to, or formerly known as Calvadia there. I want to get my dark on this side too now. So it kind of swings around this way. It is pretty toasty. I mean, this, of course, would have been interesting to paint this for another month of Shadow and Flame. I don't know how many other. Well, actually, we could just we could paint some more of our Moria dwarves. We'll paint some dwarves of Khazad-dûm in November because that'll sort of keep the whole Shadow and Flame thing going. Obviously, not exactly Balrog, but I'm gonna swing back the other way now. They're yellow here. Just cut down on those a little bit. So he just did the house and a few extras like a bookcase. So yeah, ZPet, that is my favorite part. I really love that about the Loot Studio stuff. My not so great Hall of Erkenbrand. I printed out tons of tables, feasting tables, some fires, barrels, of course. And every month they come out with some of them are more useful than others. Some of them are really gigantic. And then some of them are just a bit more useful. I had to pretty much resize a lot of them to make them a little bit more usable for 28 millimeter things. More of our dark there, and probably here too on this part of his face. Again, it's pretty much just a giant horn. It's sort of like a flying wing, where it's literally just a wing with a few little appendages added to it. That's about what the Balrog's head was. It was mostly just horns. Okay, I'm going to see if I can't do something like that again to kind of indicate there's some of his body there, whatever, his shoulder. I'm going to take some of that away and let that arm go off camera. That's more like it. So I don't know. Now, of course, when did I first sign on to that? It was probably maybe January or something like that, January or February. So those might have been before, I guess you could say before my time. Now I'm trying to also cut into the fire here a little bit more. Like this. That's also going to lighten up his wee little stick right here. His little stick with the flashlight on it. I'm sure the Balrog is absolutely terrified of that. So it's pretty much just flat. There was just so little of it there. And of course, when you have the big old metal construct, oof, that was, you didn't know what the heck to file away. You didn't even know what to paint, what was what. But Loot Studios, they definitely, like some of the fountains and such, those were very handy. I think I might have printed up a small one of those for some of my elven terrain. What about this? Do I want to get that a little darker back there? I don't know. Let's see what happens. We have a couple again of our stippling brushes that has a little bit of dark paint in there already. And I think I'm going to just take some of this fanchon red here. Maybe a smidge of the orange. And we want to have some clouds here. Let's go a little lighter. Fanchon red. Where's I'm just going to grab some of that orange there maybe. Yeah. And they're doing a little bit of a twist on there as well, just to get a little extra mixing and blending going on. So the February set, making the house exhausted, and I tried the Baba Yaga with oils. Now, Zipa, yeah, I think I mentioned that earlier in the chat, right? I just hope that made it a little bit easier. Let's see if I can maybe get some of the lighter color on the opposite side of that column, maybe. Just, again, a little indication of it. We're just kind of smearing the colors through here. Now, as much as I would love to, I'm going to see if I can't still do that. See if we can't have that light ray just kind of going through. Right through this here, or maybe even one up this way. Just to be kind of pointing at the Balrog a bit. I am going to try and get a little bit thinner into that. I might need some more thinner here. Remember, again, this was all just the bridge right there. We took thinner and we pulled this all away, or just ripped it out of there and put the lighter colors in there. So you could do the same on a miniature if you didn't want to do the makeup sponge thing. You could do something like that on a miniature too. All right. right, so I'm just going to try and get this going a little bit further here. Okay, that's better. And maybe this one, I don't know, just for the heck of it, see what happens here. So let's cross this right over. Let's cross the streams. We'll cross the streams there. That works. Now, do we want to expand on those? That, I guess, is the next question. No, I think we won't expand on those. If we do anything, we'll do maybe some smaller, shorter ones here. But that's it. I will just go with the line right there. I'm glad that that one really helped. I was literally just last night and gifted the house a month ago. Hey, Speck of Spud, nice to see you. So Z-Pit, yeah, that's. I'm really glad that that worked out for you. That one was a really fun. That was believe it or not, I think it was Archvillain or something like that, or maybe no, it was Loot Studios. I know one of their recent releases had a bunch of kind of lizard man-y type stuff. Yeah, there was like Komodo dragons and stuff, and I was all set to print those out. I was making build plates of the Loot Studio Komodo dragon and that sort of lizard man bust that they had. Yeah, I had all those in Chidu box and everything, and then that's when the printer went boing, and that was the end of that. So Speckusput, I hope that you're having yourself a decent Friday, because it's almost Friday everywhere, not quite everywhere. So I think we have ourselves a decent amount of our light there. But as you can see, it's still brighter, so there's still a little bit of darker light. It's not everything is just a pure ball of white there. There's even a little bit of the reddish color of the backdrop in there. Well, I'm sure there's been a lot of chitter chatter about Chidu Box. I know that the whole thing about having to potentially, it's the only thing out there, the only option, and people would have to pay into it or buy into it or whatever. I know there's been a lot of angst about that stuff. Some folks very, very upset because they like the other one instead of Chidu Box. So yep, that is the one that, so to speak, is on the chopping block. Because, and again, I'm not going to bog down into all the this and the that about it, but the kind of the short version is that Chidu Box basically wants to have a monopoly on all that stuff. Since an awful lot of the printers are set up for initially Chidu Box. I mean, that there comes a time where we're doing much more. Well, I also would like to have, what's it, Mesh Mixer, I think is one of them. So hopefully there comes a point where we're able to do a lot more with the printing than just sort of gather STLs. Hopefully we'll be able to do more with that. That would be maybe not even next year. Gonna see if I can lighten that just a smidge more. Yeah, just give them a little bit more, especially since the flame is getting so close right there. So why don't we do, what the heck, I'm gonna throw a couple of lights right there. And in here, oh yeah, see right over here, it'll take me a little bit of that orange, because I like what happened over here, where it has kind of a little extra dimension to it. I'm gonna see if I can't do that up around here. Yeah. I might even darken that down a little bit more with more of my orange here. Yeah. All right, so now that's starting to look more, a little more three-dimensional right there. So edges, it's all about those edges. Even though all of the bright colors, right? Even though there's all those bright colors, it comes down to the edges when it's all said and done. No different than our one from last week, which had zero of the bright colors. All about the hard edges on Boromir to bring him forward, and then all of the soft edges on the backdrop right there. Same thing here. Bring that back up. Might do a smidge more of a. So again, this is kind of his chest right there. I might. I was thinking of lowering that down a little bit here. And then also maybe restoring a little bit of dark to the, and by dark, I'm just going to take whatever's on the brush here. Maybe a little bit more of the Fanchon red. A little bit of the asphaltum there. That's more like it. I also didn't want that line to be quite so hard right there, so I think that's better. And we'll throw in a little more this way. So we've been able to see that even on a two-dimensional surface like this, and something that's pretty absorbent, our homemade fluorescent oil paints, they can still be opaque. And it's certainly been nice not to have to pile a bunch of cadmiums on here because, I mean, well, it'll dry faster. Not that it really matters. I mean, it'll just dry at the same rate as everything else. I guess that's I always try to emphasize that. Don't really care if it dries faster. Just more interesting if it dries at the same rate. Actually, one of the little illustrations that popped up when I was just looking for some references on this is it quite literally looks like a lion guy with wings and a little stick or something like that that's facing off with Gandalf. It looks pretty crazy. He sort of looks like, oh gosh, what the heck is that one where the something are, where the wild things are? It kind of looks like one of those critters. Yeah, imagine one of those critters as a Balrog. I mean, having not read that book in forever, let's see. So no, it doesn't. It doesn't say the. Then I thought it might have said, and then it would have been cool, but I'm sure that's what it might. It was a black and white drawing, so I'm sure that's it. Must be the one you're talking about. And okay, I guess everything is relative, right? You know, what scares you when you're a kid doesn't necessarily scare you very much as an adult. Not that those guys are actually, I guess, supposed to be scary. I'm just throwing out some bits of ash and flames throwing off there. Oh, thank you so much, Ben. Oh boy, if everybody could please give Ben a follow, that would be fantastic. Ben, you wanna before you head out, if you wanted to post some of your Instagram stuff into the chat there, it's really been looking amazing. So yes, if everybody could please give Ben a follow, that would be great. All right, Aussie, you have a good one. Now, just as a quick little note, I won't be around Saturday for streaming, so we're going to have to do our substitute Saturday, which would be a Sunday stream. So just so you know, little programming note there. Yes, it's going to be another one of those Saturdays that we actually stream on Sunday. And I do believe that if we're streaming tomorrow, it's going to be the some of those Neverland pirate things from Christine. See how we're kind of like having this spread out here? So I'm going to have some more of that going this way. It's a bit like our Rivendell leaves. Those weren't fluorescent, but it's a little bit like that. So Ben only needs 5 more followers for 300. Actually, I think Kathy's getting pretty close to 3, and I think she's in the 280s or something like that. So hopefully, I don't know if she'll break that tomorrow, but I'm sure she'll crack that barrier too. So it just kind of like bits of ash being thrown off of them there, and sparks and whatever, right? It's good times. There's that yellow using some of our thinner here. Because maybe we'll try and get some flamey things there on our bridge. Back to the orange again. All right, some here. And if I, nah, I'll just kill that again. Well, we'll have a little bit of the ash there, but see, that's again, that's kind of radiating out from his head there. I'll take another quick picture here of this. There's a couple of areas in the whip that I think I'm going to cut through a little bit more. And of course well, how convenient is that? The battery's just recharged, so we're going to have to give me a second here to get some new batteries into this, if we can. See if this works. At least gives me a little extra power here, maybe. Yes, it does. Because people seem to be upset when we don't have all of the work in progress images there, or all of the different steps. See if I can maybe, I don't want to lighten that up too much. Good enough. Hey, Danny M, nice to see you. And there's please, folks, check out the link that Ben just posted there, so you can see all the fabulous stuff that Ben's working on. So, Danny M, I hope that you're doing well. This has been quite the interesting little project right here. This is very different from our typical landscapes of Middle Earth, and it is most definitely a little bit different than this one right here, right? Ironically enough, edge contrast has been a huge part of it. So I'll see you. See you later, Ben. You have a good one. Now with this, right along here, I'm gonna just tone some of that down, and I want to make some of these little cut marks there that's kind of twisting this. That is the thing I'm trying to do here. A little bit of the Fanchon red, some of our orange here. And I just want to cut into the flame. There we go. That's what's missing in a couple of spots there. Just cutting into that. Oh, Danny, I'm glad that you're doing well. We've been filming lots and lots of videos here. Mostly because we're just trying to squeeze those in where we can. There's just so many other things going with all the commission stuff and everything else. We try and fit in filming where we can for the Patreon page. And also for the YouTube channel. There's a bunch of different Kickstarters going on. So this is what we painted on Tuesday. What was it? Tuesday? No, it's Wednesday. That's right. We painted this on Wednesday. It was supposed to be a Tuesday stream, but we ended up painting this on Wednesday. That's a Kitsune right there. That is from Signum Games. And of course, we had a lot of fun painting the Dark Schmaladriel here. That's when the printing goes ever on, and that was the, well, obviously here you've got from Loot Studios. That's your regular Schmeladriel there. I'm glad you're able to get that station set up, Danny M. I know that was something that was you've been working on for a little while. They're getting that all set up. And it means a lot on miniatures too. I've really tried to emphasize that as much as I can. Here, edge contrast means a lot because, well, it's two-dimensional. If you want to have shape in something that's two-dimensional, you better have some edges. But even on a miniature, you better have yourself some edges there too. Otherwise, I get stuff that's metal, not going to look like metal. It's going to look just like the cloth, which also has the same smooth surfaces. You want to have those edges. You need with miniatures, you need a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. Just like this, foreground, middle ground, background, there you go. And now here I'm trying to almost kick off a few, again, things from the lash here, the whip. Now, I have to say, I do look forward to the first time I get to use this whip on somebody and just grab a little hobbit or something like that. Yank him towards the Balrog for a heroic combat. Balrog makes the little hobbit go smush, and then carry on into the next combat there. All right, Z-Pit, thank you so much for joining us here. I appreciate it, as always. Yeah, well, this is starting to spread out a little bit more. It's starting to look that much flamier. Yeah, there we go. Back to it there. Now, of course, again, the Balrog is not the only big beastie in the Moria army. You've got the dragon, you got the drake, you've got the Watcher in the water, you have not Gullivar, that's in the Angmar. You have the he's basically like a baby Balrog. I've always referred to him as that, the baby Balrog. I think he's the Dweller in the Dark, and he basically has as many attacks as he has wounds remaining. But he basically kind of gets wounds back when he deals wounds. And then, of course, ye old bat swarms, very handy for you want that hero to be half of his fight skill. Along comes a bat swarm. So when that hero tries to do a strike up to match your Balrog's fight skill of 10, oh, wait a minute. Bat swarm, sorry, unless you can roll a 7, you ain't going to match that. So Fell Beasts are mounts for the ring rates, and you can give generic ring rates to Fell Beasts, but there's also the various named ring race in the game. Of course, you've got your Kamui and Witch King, but you also have the Tainted, the Undying. You can give all of them a Fell Beast if you want. You're going to have to pay some serious points for it. You also have to decide, do you want an armored Fell Beast? Just a naked Fell Beast? What kind of Fell Beast do you want? And the Fell Beast, of course, that has the fly rule, unlike the Balrog, which does not. But Fell Beast, again, ring wraiths are not invincible. They are not invincible, that's for sure. So Trash professes to have played with the naked Fell Beasts back in school days. So now I'm going to try and lighten up these little individual little licks of flame out here. Not every single one, but some of them. So yeah, your fell beast. Uh, Obviously, once the Witch King or once your ring wraith is killed, the fell beast just flies away. He's like, "Oh man, I think there was something on that shopping list I needed to do. So I'll see you guys around. Just let me know how that goes later." And of course, you can kill the fell beast. You don't have to kill both the fell beast and the rider at the same time. Especially since you randomize shooting. So you can't, unless you have the ability to specifically target the fell beast, you have to roll to see what it is or who it is that you hit. Is it the fell beast or is it the rider? So we add a few more of our lights again, making that fire. Oh, look like it's actually coming out of the whip right here. And just, again, flicking flames coming off of that instead of all just one continuous blob of fire. Of course, you had to do that on the miniature because, well, it had to be cast. We don't have to do that here, of course, which is fun. Again, that is the fluorescent yellow, some of our brilliant yellow pale. I might throw a couple of, yeah, a couple of lights right here. As much as we love the white hot stuff there, we're going to try and get a little bit of yellow into that. And there was a couple of, it's like layers here. That was the other weird thing about the inside of his mouth, was like there was layers. There was no jaw or teeth or anything like that. It was just bones. So that, yeah, there was like these 2 or 3 layers worth. It was really weird. So basically, let's say you're shooting at any kind of mounted figure. I think it's generally 1 through 4 is the horse, and then 5 or 6 is the rider. I think when it's a chariot, then it is only a 6 will be the rider. And of course, the chariot is a little bit tougher to kill than just a horsey. Now, there are some folks that can use their own fate to save their horse or their mount. And there's other, well, obviously, I think Shadowfax has his own. I think Shadowfax might even have might. I know that Shadowfax has fate. Not sure about might. Well, we haven't actually played Gandalf on Shadowfax yet. All right, I'm gonna, no, that would be way too, right there. I don't need that. I was thinking of almost bringing some of that into the flames here. Nah, not gonna do that. I will carry again some of Gandalf's staff light down this way. Also need to get a little bit more of my bluish gray back here. Ah, there we are. And again, we'll just let it mix with what's already there. And I think I need to, oh, that's right. I'm going to take some of the Van Dyke brown here. We just need to darken up the edge of this sleeve a little bit. There we go. That starts to make a little bit more sense too. We'll still leave our orange reflected light in there. I'm going to see what happens. Try to take some of this bluish, greenish gray almost right here. And we're just going to stipple a little bit of that light in there. Yeah, that starts to enhance the glow there. Now also, I think maybe the hair. Could use lights on the other side. A little bit on that side. There we go. So we pretty much, the only areas are like there on our Balrog, and then over here, this is the only areas where we have anything that could be construed as straight up white. Yeah, and then his sword, I don't know, could maybe get a little bit more on the edge of that. Maybe even the sword hilt showing up a little bit more. Mostly, I mean, you have this bright light shining on it, so why not make that pokey thing a little bit lighter? So there we go. Yeah, that's I'm gonna see if I can get a couple of more darks in the Balrog face here. I'm gonna go, gee whiz, I might even go indigo with some of the black spinel. That would be part of your shadow, because it's not just darker, it's also a bit cooler. Yeah, a bit cooler there. So I'm gonna look at look around, see if I have that box of the Neverland pirates sitting around here. I did actually have that. Where did you go? You certainly went off somewhere. Of course, we also have those Kitsune. Now, yeah, I won't have time to get this thing ready to go, but maybe next week we're able to do that. Actually, I'll probably do a video on that one there. So I'm hoping that they don't rush the Warhammer Old World. I know that there's all kinds of speculation about when that's going to happen and everything else, but if 2 years from now means it will be better, then let it be 2 years from now. I mean, it's not like I would be playing it now anyways. I have tons of things that I can play right now. I got all the Lord of the Rings in the world, and if I didn't want to do that, I'd be doing bolt action. Let's see if I can't get a little bit of a darker color that to sort of represent his chest a little bit. And maybe this to almost represent his shoulder a bit. Yes, you don't want to be hasty, right? Don't be hasty. You don't want to be a hasty little hobbit with your game system there, because that's not going to end well. See, I like this idea of the dark right here. I might even enhance that a little bit more, but you see how we're just kind of doing it nice and soft there. Again, that is an edge contrast. Nice little edge contrast right there. And I might be able to come back in now with some of our light here. And that would be this. Yeah, a little bit of this. Just along the side there, and that's it. No, nothing out there. See, now his face really stands out that much more. I think even in film noir, it would also stand out. Yes, it does. Yep, that made a big difference right there. So actually, right now, the only person that I see streaming is Avocado Kids, and he must be playing a game, right? So I guess he's playing a game. Yeah, he's playing a game. Now, I don't know if there any miniature painters out there or whatever that are doing their thing. Because again, all I see right now is Avocado Kids. And I wish he was still doing his terrain stuff, but I think he's just kind of easing his way back into that. So I can try and type those into my raid there and see if we can do that raid. If there's anybody that has an actual name or anything like that. Because again, as far as the folks that I follow, all I see is Avocado Kids. Hey, Gallo Fire, how the heck are you doing? Thanks. Check this out. This was our one that we did last week. Look, look at how muted all the colors are there. And this is pretty much, can you get much more opposite than this? Oh my goodness. There, look at that. Oh my goodness, that is insane. So Animari, okay, we will oh, thanks Gallo Fire. Yeah, this and actually I'm gonna do something here too. So again, composition wise, right? We divvy this up into our 9 segments, and these 4 areas are where we want to kind of have our interests. Well, we got, one in that there, one over here, one over here. So, but we also have elements like this to kind of draw you in and carry you this way, but you hold it this way. So the composition still works out either way, right? So what I'm going to do is here we'll try and copy that name right there. Let's see if we can copy that. I'm just going to do a little quick copy and paste here. And let's see if that name pops up. So, oh, looks like they're sculpting. They are doing some sculpting there. So Steelhead, there's been a couple of others that are maybe 3.5 hours long. It's not quite the quickest one, but it might be. It might be the quickest one by, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. So yeah, that was very fun, and it's interesting now that all of this stuff is starting to set here. Even the paint is starting to kind of change the way it looks as it dries here on the surface. So thank you so much, everybody. Thanks, Intruders, and thanks for the sub. Thanks to everybody for all the bits and the subs. Those are, of course, appreciated. And I do believe that we're streaming later today. It would probably be some of the Christine Van Patten Neverland Pirates things. Probably Captain Hook, and maybe other ones too. So I'm going to get the countdown started here, and we'll see what happens. And thank you, as always, Armored Wolf, for that. It is much appreciated. And Steelhead, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for everybody. I know it's very late here, and some folks have been staying up really late too. So we will catch you guys later today.